Alrighty, welcome to Supernatural Signals, my haunted journal edition. If you're new here, this is where I just casually yap about what's going on in my life, especially anything supernatural I'm experiencing. I also share channel updates, everyday life with my boyfriend, and thoughts on things in the media like true crime, though the supernatural is usually the main focus. On this channel, you'll find three types of content. This haunted journal series, short mini mysteries, which you can find on my shorts tab, and longer investigative deep dive videos. If you're interested in any of those type of videos, please consider subscribing. And other than that, let's get into it. Alrighty, so me and my boyfriend, just some updates on everyday life. We recently went out of town for just a day out. It was very, very nice. It was very needed. And we just did some like shopping and stuff like that. Like I said, I live in a nice area, but like we don't have like our shopping isn't um we don't have certain stores here, right? We have like a Target and like the basics and some stuff to like look around and stuff like that. And it's growing, so I'm excited for that. Like we're getting some new restaurants in and things like that, but it's kind of like a growing area. And so um uh we don't have like a lot of like a Lululemon or like Lush or like stuff like that. So it was nice to get out. It was only a few hours away, so it was a very easy drive. And so we went out and did some shopping Friday and got some stuff, kind of like, I guess, like a late Valentine's Day out. We kind of like we did for Valentine's Day, we kind of did like small things pretty much all throughout the week, which was really, really nice. Um, and yeah, Friday was very nice to have. But yeah, I was a little nervous about the dogs and leaving Kitty alone, but he was fine. He had someone watching him, like who he loves, and like I don't like to like get into my personal life, but it's basically part his dog too. Like, so he was very much taken care of. He was only by himself for like a few hours. He did very good. He just slept on his couch. I gave him a Kong before we left. And yeah, he it was very needed to get out. So I think Kermie and I are going to do that some more. And yeah, so that was nice. We got Chinese food at this like nice restaurant I've never been to. And like I said, did some shopping, nothing crazy, but it was good. I went to Trader Joe's. We don't have a Trader Joe's here, and I love Trader Joe's snacks. Like, so I kind of like I was kind of like worried that the not worried, but like I was like the checkout guy must think I might be having some kind of party or something, because pretty much I got like, I think I got some bread, and then I got like just the rest, like snacks, like fun snacks you can get there, right? So it was very fun. Could you go do that? And then we went to a bookstore. I got a new book. Kermie and I are going to read together. It's called Ours is a Tale of Murder, and it's new. So I'm excited about that. It's by Nora Murphy. So I'm going to check that out. And yeah, I'm excited. So we're going to probably start reading that either today or tomorrow. We did have we did have most of the week off for work, and so we're getting back into work. So I'm just prepping for that, cleaning up my room a bit and my space to, get back into that. I have some meetings I have to like prep for in the morning. And yeah, so I don't know if looking forward to is the right word, but that's okay. I am working on, as far as the channel's updates, I am working on a mini short, which will come out within the next few days. And then I'll probably get into a more investigative video. Um, yeah, so that's kind of like the updates on the channel. I'm kind of liking the flow that I'm doing, where I have this, these three type of videos, and that's where I want to stick with. But yeah, so let's get into some stuff I've been like watching or consuming entertainment wise. Kermie and I did watch a documentary yesterday that was on Prime Video. I believe it originally came out through HBO Max though. And here's just like a quick summation of it. It's called The Mortician, and it tells a story of David Sconce, who's a very unique individual, let's put it that way, and the Lamb Funeral Home in Pasadena, California. And it basically was like what began as a respected family funeral business, and it spiraled into a massive scandal when Sconce secretly ran an illegal cremation operation, cutting corners and mishandling remains to maximize profit. The documentary unpacks how greed, pressure to expand the business, and disturbing lack of accountability led to one of the most shocking funeral home scandals in the US history. Um, but yeah, so it's not really on the supernatural side, but I found it really, really interesting. And to be fair, like the first, like most of the first episode, it's only 3 episodes, but the most of the first episodes, me and Kermie were kind of like, okay, like what he's doing is wrong because it kind of starts talking about how instead of just cremating a body individually, he cremated like packed like almost like 15 bodies into one crematorium thing, which they're not supposed to do, or they're at least supposed to tell them what they're doing, right? The families and stuff. And we thought, like, okay, yeah, that's sad, but like, and wrong, but like, we're kind of like trying to figure this out. What's going on with this? And it turns out not only was he doing that, but he was also uh, taking gold out of their mouths, like within their teeth. They were taking off, gold with like sometimes people like to, cremate people with jewelry on. He was stealing their jewelry. He was taking organs out and selling them on the black market. Like all this like stuff. It just kept escalating, escalating. And it kind of started off about like his parents and his grandparents, like especially his parents were kind of like known as like, oh, so innocent, and like he was ruining the reputation and they never did it, but then turns out his parents were just as bad as him but probably smarter with it, and he just became like super careless, but because it was a family owned funeral thing. But and then it turns out like he probably murdered someone that was trying to like, out him in the funeral business, and he most likely murdered him with oleander, and then like it went crazy. Like this guy, you can just tell by watching his like, I don't know, his interviews, you can just tell he's completely unhinged. But there is one thing I kind of wanted to talk about were his parents, because even one of the guys that helped kind of realize they're embezzling money and like doing shady stuff was he went to go visit his parents, because again they were still involved even though their son David took over the funeral home. um his parents were still involved, and he came to go, I guess, figure out what was going on. And he was talking about in an interview, he was like, yeah, she had this like aura around her, like someone was shining off behind a light, like the sweetest lady. And I swear she just like aura ring around her that I saw. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm seeing this like, special being or whatever the case may be. And, and then he, started auditing. He was like, yeah, this is wrong. This is wrong. And she's like, oh dear, I didn't know. I'm going to fix it and blah, blah, blah. And, he believed her. And he's like, oh, this kind lady's just caught up in all this stuff. Yeah, she didn't do any of it, right? And then like later on they show footage of her looking not like her nowadays, like looking completely different than the white aura lady, like looking like, I don't know, not bad, but just like not what she put on for a front for society. They kind of got like sneaky footage of her. And it just kind of like shows you how like, I don't know. I just think it's so funny how he's just talking about like, oh, there was an aura and da da da. And then he was like, yeah, and then she was full of crap, basically. You know what I'm saying? But it really is interesting of how in society people can fall for like those type of reputations and feel like, oh, like this little lady would never do anything bad and blah blah blah. Because the thing is like when you're watching it, David was just a lot more messier than the parents, right? I guarantee you behind the scenes the parents were more pissed that he got caught than anything. Because later on when he gets out of jail, spoiler, he only gets like 3 or 4 years for all the crap he did in the funeral home, which he should have gotten more, but whatever, he got really lucky in his case. um uh and Lorianne also and Jerry, who are the parents, ended up getting like I think 3 years, but obviously they only did like 1.5 or something like that. But yeah, all that to say is after David gets out of prison, he basically goes back to scamming. Like I think he did something with like scamming, creating fake, I think it was like train tickets or bus tickets or something like to that effect, and ended up getting scamming for that. And then he did something else. He ends up getting 25 years anyway, which he deserved because he probably killed people. Which he was so stupid because towards the end it reminded me so much of the Jinx documentary where he was basically just like telling himself because he just wanted to brag, to be honest. But but during that, someone contacted the parents, and the parents, instead of saying like, "Oh yeah, he shouldn't have done that," blah blah blah, he's like, "Yeah, he got caught." So it's like that just showed their true colors. Like all along, they just put up a front for society. And I've said this before. When I think about the supernatural and thinking about like the good intention side, like having a strong mission and stuff like that, and then there's also the other side, in the universe that have dark intentions. The dark intentions could be sometimes the most purest people, or not even seeming like the most purest people, but just like, oh, I'm confused, or I didn't understand, or blah blah blah. There's kind of like how Lorianne tried to front, and she was probably one of the backbones of the whole freaking organization. She probably was one of the biggest one calling the shots behind the scenes, right? And she probably was just looking at her son like, you dumbass, you like went way too far with it, like you ruined everything, right? She probably wasn't worried about him extracting gold teeth because they were probably doing it just probably in a way smarter manner, right? So anyway, it's a really good doc if you're wanting to watch something like that. I made a point on my podcast where I think on these videos before that I do think cremation is the fastest way and the most. I have my theories behind it. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I definitely feel like it's an easier. I definitely feel like crematorium, not necessarily just because your body turns to ash. I think it's easier for personally your like soul and who you are as a being to fast track to wherever your next destination is and have easier access to your loved ones in different capacities. I don't want to get into it right now because it sounds, I don't know. I just don't want to get into it right now, but I have my theories for it. I think I've explained it before on these podcasts. I still believe it, and I do feel like those families, even though their bodies weren't respected like they should have been, and like the ashes they got might not have been their loved ones because they were all mixed with everyone, and that would mean me beyond livid too, and just very disrespectful of what they did alone. But I do think at least getting cremated is better alternative than just body just rotting there, taking a long time to process and all that stuff. I do think with the supernatural, there's like a science part behind it, and it's not just all like, there's a process to everything. And I think the processes we don't necessarily understand, but through my experiences and like my quote unquote research with the supernatural, I still think crematorium cremating is the best bet. But that's my own thing. I might get into deeper. I have my own personal stories with that and things like that. But so at least that makes me feel better for the families. But again, if that happened to me, I would not be happy, especially taking their organs and things like that. Not everyone has, respect people's decisions. Not everyone wanted to be an organ donor, right? No, not everyone, and they have their own reasons for it, right? No, I don't know. It's just like and the way he was so casual about the bodies, because like I said, they would even break bones to fit him into the crematorium, right? And the guy said like out of everything, he made excuses for everything, but with that, he was like, no, that's like just part of the process. Like everyone does that. I'm like, no, they don't. Like they really don't. Like I don't know. So anyway, it's a very good documentary if you want to watch something. Um, I highly suggest it. That family is nutso. The people that did the documentary did a very very good job of it. He probably killed like 3 people. um yeah, it's very good. I suggest watching it. I do think it's ironic though that he still basically spent his entire life pretty much in and out of prison, with very long stints at times. I'm very glad that happened because he recently just got out in like 2024, I think, or 2023 or something like that, very recent. And I'm glad because he deserved it, because apparently he deserved longer because apparently not only did he do the messed up stuff in the funeral home, but apparently he actually took people's lives. They just couldn't prove it. So, good documentary. Definitely suggest watching it. Okay, other than that, supernatural stuff that's going on, since my last video, nothing has occurred. And no, my last video wasn't that long ago, so which could be, which is expected. We went on a walk with Buddy today. He did very good. He didn't get scared of anything, but he was, kind of distracted with like other things. So he was a good boy. He's doing good as far as ghost stuff. Yesterday he did sleep in my room, so I didn't see any activity because I didn't even turn on the blink camera like I usually do at night because he wasn't even in the living room. He does this thing where he will bark and bark and bark if he sees something like across the lake or whatever. He will like bark, like whether he sees people or if he sees ducks or something like that or things. And then like I'll be like, okay, buddy, let's go like lay down in my room. And he'll like do this thing where he's like, no, no, I must protect the house. And as soon as I bring him into the room, he'll like start running to the room and curl up in his bed and like pass out because he stressed himself out so much by barking at everything. And I don't know. It just reminds me of like a little kid where they're just like, I don't know, I'm not going to bed. I need to stay up and da da da. And then she usually bring him to bed. He's like, and just starts snoring. I'm like, I just think it's the cutest thing ever. That's just me loving my dog. He's adorable. Oh, Kitty also did very good when I was gone because, like I said, I work at home. I I'm a homebody, me and my boyfriend both, so we don't leave that long. We'll pop out for a while, but I haven't left Kitty alone for that long, and she did very good. And came home and she was just chilling, but the next day she was all up on me because she missed her mommy. So both the animals did very good by themselves, or even if it was a short amount of time. So that made me happy, and that made me feel good to like be like, okay, I can, me and my boyfriend can take some more day trips and stuff like that. So but yeah, so as far as the camera thing goes, in my last video, there was this black thing in my camera, and I tried to mess with the camera and try and like recreate it. Um, and I just couldn't. I just couldn't. I don't know what that thing was because it seemed very, it was just weird. And it's weird how it said person. In the camera footage, it says person, like identified a person, but there was no person there. There was no person there. And it is kind of funny how Buddy kind of like walked around it. I don't know. And then when that black spot went away, he went to his bed. So it's very weird. I will keep you posted on that though. Like I said, sometimes the supernatural isn't in your face. It's like adds up with a lot of things. I will still do that summation. I cannot believe it's gonna be the 23rd tomorrow. I February, like literally, I don't even know why we have this month. It's like 2 weeks. um, it's crazy how fast this goes. But yeah, so how fast this month goes. But I will keep you posted. But yeah, I'll let you know. Other than that, I'm trying to think of anything else I wanted to update y'all on. This was more just like a personal update. Um, as far as true crime, I'm not even really looking at the Nancy Guthrie case. I hope everything's okay. Every time I turn on the news, it's something different. So, you know, hopefully it'll all come together and hopefully everything they're saying makes sense. Um, I kind of wish, we hear a lot from the sheriff's office. I kind of wish we hear more directly from the FBI. And I'm not saying the sheriff because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So I don't want to like disrespect detectives and their police. Like I know their job is hard, but it's also like I kind of just want to hear from the FBI and kind of see if they're they're really in line with the sheriff office as the sheriff keeps saying that they are. Because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But obviously, I hope it works out the best it can, and Nancy's safe. So, but yeah, that's all I got to say today. I know this is kind of like a short video, but I just want to talk about that documentary. I like to yap sometimes, but I hope everyone is doing good and staying safe. And thank you for listening. And as always, stay curious and stay tuned into the supernatural. Thanks for watching.